Okay, man, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Now, come on, now crank this motherfucker up.
Break it down like this.
Hello, Internet. Gino, that Pinguino Grieco here again with another episode of Deep Listens, and today we are discussing Pathologic 2, the second Pathologic game, as is traditional for our podcast. We did not play the first game; we played the second one. But I've been told that the second game kind of just is the first game, made competently, which isn't, well, I should say more competently than the first game was. Joining me, as always, to discuss all things video games, Pete Busby. How you doing, Pete?
Doing good. I'm doing good. This one's going to be either interesting or not. I think depending on what happens. But I can guarantee my fun fact's going to be interesting. I'm actually very excited about this one. What's everybody's favorite ancient dinosaur era period?
Oh, I could just name so many.
Well, yeah, I think we all agree it's the Carboniferous, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I could just.
Yeah.
That was what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
because you just said it, but because that was what I was going to say.
No, it's because it's an awesome period. One of the really cool things that happened during the Carboniferous period is that trees basically like became trees. Like at that time, they developed lignin, which is it's basically what makes trees
Sigma?
like hardy.
Ligma?
No, close.
Oh, okay.
That can be part of your fun fact, ZP.
Oh, okay.
But trees develop lignin, which makes them sort of like tough and resilient and stuff like that. But the problem was, for millions of years, there was nothing that could digest lignin. So these trees would grow, fall over, and die, and just stay there forever. So for millions of years, these trees were just piling up, and the earth was almost buried in trees. And because they sequestered so much carbon, the oxygen in the atmosphere got up to 35%. So if these fungi didn't come along that could digest lignin, eventually the earth would have just been buried in dead tree.
Wow.
Mm.
Cool, right?
Yeah, we could have had all that good oxygen
I know.
for us. Oh man, that is a good fun fact. I was going to say Cretaceous period.
It's an okay. I mean, it's okay.
That other voice you heard saying lewd things is one Chris ZombiePie redacted. How you doing, ZP?
I'm glad to be here. The salamanders are especially virile in my ear holes right now.
I don't know what that means. Salamanders? What?
Yep. Anyways,
Okay.
so I think
Are we lizards?
that a couple of things. So Emma's not here, so normally
Yes.
there would be a Discord report.
Doop-a-doop-a-doop.
Fuck y'all, I'm doing a food review on this podcast, baby.
Okay.
Hey, yeah. So there's a new promotional thing where Mug is teaming up with Muscle Milk and saying equal parts Muscle Milk with Mug Soda. And
Like
so
the
I'm
root
going to make
beer.
that cocktail right now.
Mug
root
skull
beer?
milk?
Mug
Got
Soul
anything?
Milk. All right, so... oh, God.
Okay, so he's...
Do we think that I put the milk in first, or do I put the soda in first?
Don't call it milk.
First
muscle
off,
milk.
yeah, don't call it milk. Secondly, is this root beer? Is this mug root beer?
Yeah. I got the root beer. I showed you a picture.
Okay, oh. I didn't look at it yet.
Okay,
Personal
I'm
root beer
gonna
choice.
guess we put
Oh,
the
no.
milk in first, and
Oh,
then the
no.
soda mixes with the root beer. Okay.
Alright.
Yep. Oh God, I did not settle this, so this might actually explode on me.
Yeah, I bet. I bet it will.
Nope. Come on.
I mean, better than it exploding inside you.
Okay.
So-
Um,
Are Mug and Muscle Milk owned by the same parent
I don't
company?
know. All they're
I
saying
doubt
is
it.
mix our drinks. Oh God, it's so frothy.
Someone clip that.
Oh God, it's frothing all over the place. It
Someone
looks
clip
like
that too.
a root beer float. I'm gonna assume that this just tastes like a root beer float with no ice cream.
Worse. So a worse root beer float.
Okay.
Pete, how often do you have a
I'm gonna take
protein
a
shake?
shot.
Like, just one is a pure shake. Like,
Oh.
rough rule of thumb, you want a
Ah.
gram of protein for every pound of lean body mass.
Ugh.
Okay. ZP, how often do you have protein shakes?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay.
Ugh.
So, how is this thing you've put in your body?
It's got the chalkiness of protein powder, which I think Pete can probably talk about.
Yeah, it's
Like
usually
all
pretty
protein
bad.
powder has that chalky bullshit mouth feel. It's unavoidable.
Mhm.
There's no
Awful.
protein powder that doesn't have that. With soda, and it flavor wise, it's not the worst because it has the flavor of like a root beer float.
Okay.
It's just the chalky mouthfeel of protein milk with soda. Nah, I don't fuck with that. I don't fuck with that at all.
Yeah, nobody would. That's why this isn't a real thing.
Well, it was sold to me in a safe way, therefore it's real.
Okay. Mug Root Beer is owned by PepsiCo. Muscle Milk is owned by. Now I just want to know: is Muscle Milk
Oh God, that was not.
is it also owned by PepsiCo? Because that would make sense.
I drank half of
Yep.
it. I'm gonna say that's a success. I will report if my insides reject it.
Let us know. Gosh.
I
Yeah.
think we'll hear. I think we'll be
Yeah.
able to hear if your insides reject it. Yeah. So great co-marketing by Pepsi products, and now there's synergy happening within your stomach. ZP. Brand synergy, the best kind of synergy.
Boy, howdy.
All right. Well, now that that happened to us, let's go to the plugs for the show. You can get in touch with the show at deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. You can go to deeplistens.libsyn.com where we have our comment sections and you can download the show. You can go to deeplistenspodcast.bluesky.social. That is our social media account. Hit us up there. You can support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. At the $1 tier, you get access to our Discord. At the $3 tier, you get access to the OG Soncast, which is an anime show that Pete, you, and Chris are both on. What show are you watching next?
I would love
I'm
for
a
ZP to take this one.
I'm gonna be real. I also forgot what the next show is. I'm going through it.
Oh no, I thought you picked it, but no, you didn't. You're right.
That was a Braden joint, wasn't it?
That was a
was.
Braden game or
Let me read
show.
my text messages to myself.
Oh, we haven't done an update on Pete's text messages to himself in a while.
Yeah, all right, we can go. All right, how far has it been?
You know, I
tell you what,
can't say.
I'll go through the list.
I don't remember what
Marowak-
the show is. Just say the show, please.
Yeah, it's Welcome to the NHK.
Okay, right. That's a good show.
Okay, and then what other text messages has Pete sent to Pete?
Marowak first.
What?
Well, yeah. Hey, you just get the message. Wednesday 4:45. Monday 4:30. Pathologic 2. Train. Welcome to the NHK.
And it's like a number station. Your text messages to yourself. It's
All make perfect sense to me.
good. I'm glad. Yeah, so we do still have the Patreon goal of if we get up to 60 patrons with OG Soncast people counting twice. I believe the Off the Deep End crew, you're going to play Raven's Cry.
Mm-hmm. We
I
might
bel-
also just play that for Haku Solstice. I'm gonna be real with you.
We on the main show have still said we would finish Hideo Kojima's
dumb.
masterpiece,
It's so dumb.
Death Stranding. So that's what we said, but we could come up with something else. Please come up with something else for us that you would like that isn't a Hideo Kojima game. That'd be great.
Yeah, if I have to listen to Gino say he wants to play Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball one more time, I'm going to lose my mind, people. So just pick that for him so we'll shut up about it.
And
You play those games for the story.
Yeah.
oh, you play those games for the volleyball,
Team building.
team building, and the camaraderie. Yeah, so that's what's going on there. And then if you were to join the Patreon at the $1 or $3 tier, you would get access to the Discord, which could put you on the Discord report. Doopy 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 doop. On the Discord this week, The Fantasy League has continued to pace. The Fantasy Game Critic League has continued to pace. I continue to be in front by a lot because a lot of my games have come out, but I deliberately targeted games that would come out. So that has given me a little bit of a cushion. In second place is Borgmaster, who has done a pretty good job of having very few crappy games that he's picked. Nothing's really gone negative on him. And that's... Or only one game has gone negative, but the other games he's picked have been good. ZP... No, Lionheart is third, then Scurvy, then Jeff. And in dead last is Brayden.
Mm-hmm.
Dead last. He picked a lot of games that don't look like they're coming out.
Or they will come out late fall, late winter.
Very late fall. So he's at risk of a lot of his eggs being pushed to the 2027 basket, which would really suck for him. Other things going on in the Discord. ZP has been committing more food crimes as per usual.
Hey! I was vindicated. Democracy said that my food crime was not that. No, this was a different one. Okay, I don't think Pete has seen this because. So I ate General Tso's chicken piled upon a bed of macaroni and cheese.
Why?
Because I thought the tangy chicken tastes really good with the creamy cheesiness of mac and cheese.
I suppose. Like, rice is so easy to make.
Yeah, but mac and cheese tastes better.
Does it?
Yeah, it's cheese
Right.
with macaroni.
I hate this.
It's the best Italian food.
It feels racist, but I don't know if it's against Chinese people or Italians. Maybe both.
Age-old enemies.
I'm bringing the world together. This is what we.
This is a fusion.
This is what democracy fought for.
Yes. Yep.
Freedom.
You know, I did go to a restaurant that it was an Italian-Japanese fusion restaurant, and the overlap was dumplings.
What's the I guess tortellini?
Ravioli or tortellini. So I had a dumpling that had, I think it was bufala mozzarella in there and like basil and stuff. It was so good. That I would do, but what you've done, ZP, is a crime. I didn't vote in time. I was not around my computer when you put this vote, but I would have said you're a criminal.
I already won by a vote, so you would have just tied it.
I also would have voted against you, but it wasn't very likely I was going to vote to begin with.
Let's be real here.
See, and that's why I will always be able to outdo you two when an actual election comes around.
And I think that's kind of it. Oh well, I mean, the Denver Nuggets have been eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, let's talk. I mean, it's us three, and the circumstances for this game pick is that I won very handily the fantasy critic not fantasy critic, the NBA Fantasy League. So let's do vibe check. Fucking everything's on fire. Me, Pete.
I mean, I'm happy. You know, I think it's a false happiness I have, but yeah, I'm happy.
Remember, the 76ers almost picked Ace Bailey. You're better with Edgecombe, probably.
Yeah, we're doing okay.
Yeah, sucking shit and then getting a top 3 pick continues to pay dividends for the teams that do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 76ers are still in the playoffs. They get to lose in the second round this year. That's fun. I like that at least half of my preseason pick is still alive. Like the Knicks are still available, but the Nuggets are out. I mean, I had a good time watching the Nuggets this year, but they were so injured all season long. It was tough.
I'm gonna just call them out for this. That's revisionist history. The Timberwolves were as injured, if not more injured. You lost against a team that even benched their other best backup guard. Like, so both teams were injured. I would even argue the T-Wolves were more injured.
Oh, I'm not talking about the playoffs. I'm saying whole season was super injured.
The Nuggets didn't give a shit after a certain point, and then their coach didn't know how to plan or do anything to save his fucking life.
Adelman did not know how to adjust. The Nuggets just couldn't hit a shot to save their lives. The Timberwolves played really, really hard, and they just out-toughed them for 4 out of 6 games. That was annoying to watch because I don't think the Timberwolves are going to do anything in the next round, and they don't even have a puncher's chance against the Spurs, which is annoying. But the Nuggets didn't deserve to win, so what can you do? I would like it if Aaron Gordon plays a healthy playoffs one more time in his career, but there's no guarantee of that. So that sucks. But still a fun team to root for. Still like watching the best player in the world, and that's super fun. And I do like that there's a pretty good chance that the Thunder lose to the Spurs.
That'd be nice.
What is that?
That'd be nice.
That'd be nice. I'm pretty sick of the teams that just mug everyone and beat the shit out of them and just hope that the refs swallow their whistles are being heavily rewarded in modern playoffs. But that's the new meta. If the old meta was like Steph Curry running around and having people who can shoot, and the new meta is just grabbing people and daring the refs to call anything, I preferred the previous one. But here we are. What can you do? All right, now let's turn our attention to Pathologic 2. ZP, you picked this game for us.
Yes,
why
I
don't you
did.
tell us a little bit about it and why you picked it?
So, well, the later portion of that question we'll address later. Let's talk about what is Pathologic 2. Pathologic 2 is ostensibly a horror-themed role-playing game driven by choices with stealth-based horror sequences in between. It comes from developer Ice Pick Lodge, which is a small indie art group that has made a handful of very unconventional, unorthodox games, which include their first game, Pathologic or Pathologic 1, The Void, Cargo the Quest for Gravity, Knock Knock, Pathologic Classic HD, which we will talk about in a little bit because we kind of need to, and then Pathologic 2. Since the recording of our podcast or this podcast that you, dear listener, are listening to, Pathologic 3 has come out to mostly positive to very positive reviews. It has reviewed genuinely the best of all of the games in this series, but its relationship to Pathologic 2 is rather interesting. This game was originally planned to be a remake or reboot or remaster. It depends on, how far back into Ice Pick Lodge's original pitch of this game was, of the first game. They then, in a Kickstarter, funded this game. It expanded to include 3 possible stories, which included The Bachelor, Haro Specs, and the Changeling from the original Pathologic. They realized that the scope of the game grew so big that what they were attempting to do with the original Pathologic protagonist would just result in an actual remake of Pathologic 1. The Bachelor would be the main character of Pathologic 2, and the Haro Specs would just be the character for Pathologic 3. So this game has had a very weird trajectory after originally being promised years and years ago. It released early access or as an alpha build in 2018 before a playable demo came out. The interesting thing about that playable demo, which is the Marble Nest, is that it was, again, a demo, but it featured a completely original cast and an original storyline. So much so that when it was pulled, the community for this requested that it be remade or republished, and then they republished it for free on a later date. The gameplay for this game is, again, largely a choice and dialogue-focused, skill-based system where we barter for things, talk to characters in a city that has been blighted by a plague. As we go through this, and we have our opening sequence, we are attacked by a handful of bandits. Those bandits, we later find out, were under the impression that we killed a very important person in the city. In a cutscene after we kill those attackers, a plague a group of strangers in doctor suits tell us that, the leader of the town has been killed. Also, your father has been killed, and you're the leading suspect of your father's murder. And that then leads to you needing to both find the killer of your father and the leader of the town, as well as clearing your name and maintaining a low profile in this town that very much suspects that you have murdered their leader.
And eventually try to deal with the plague as best you can.
Yeah, and then also you are, as the character, your character is called Arteme Burka, who is a Haro spec, which means that you are someone who divines the future by examining the entrails of sacrificed animals. There's always
a non-traditional doctor.
A non-traditional doctor. You are just straight up a
Healer.
doctor in the third game, which is a very interesting take because you actually approach things scientifically, whereas you approach things very
Religiously.
religiously or through mysticism in this game. In talking about the setting of this game, there's a lot of speculation by fans, being the art house studio that they are. Ice Pick Lodge has revealed or divulged nothing about their intent or what they actually want you to get. What we can say is this is a rare example of a depiction of the steppe cultures of Russia, the
Pronounce
kind
the
of
E.
like over by the Mongolian side or the eastern side of Russia. It's been widely speculated, but again, Ice Pick Lodge has never confirmed this, that the game theoretically takes place during the Russian Civil War, because there are some vague hints about it from here and there, both in the first and the second game. I won't say anything about the third game. And the one thing that we do know creatively is that they were drawing very, very directly from Bertolt Brecht's epic theater format, where the player is an actor playing the part of a player character. The reality comes from contact with this framing. There are spotlights, there are scene changes, and there are like actual stagehands and voices appearing intermittently through the game. This leads to probably one of the more memorable characters, which is an actual theater director, Mark Immortal, who not only is critical of your actions, but he actually will actively break the fourth wall and reference that you, the player, exist.
Yeah, and also that the previous game existed, because Pathologic 2 is a remake as much as it is a new game of Pathologic 1, which, Pete, if you haven't looked up anything for Pathologic 1, it's an early 2000s version of this. So anything that you think is off-putting or poorly constructed about this game, imagine if it was worse. Imagine if the game was slower. Imagine if the bartering system barely worked. Imagine if the combat barely worked. Imagine if it crashed all the time.
The HD remaster definitely is the better version of the game. The HD remaster fixed a lot of those rough edges as well as those the problems with that. Again, Ice Pick Lodge has been trying to make this Pathologic game now 3 times, and I would say it's not until this third game that they finally got there, but god damn it, you got to give them credit. They are ambitious. They are a team of 30 people, and that includes their music staff.
They're definitely ambitious.
They make big games too. Like, despite the fact that they are 30 people, their games are always big.
There is a lot of content here, and it is going for a lot. Pete, what was your experience being... So, like, everything you said, ZP, about when you get to the town, there's actually an hour before that happens. And that first hour I find incredibly jarring, especially if you didn't play Pathologic 1. So, Pete, what did you think when you booted this thing up?
I mean, you're referring to the part on the train, I imagine, right, Gino?
I mean, you jump into a town that's like bombed out and people are getting burned. And
I honestly forgot about all that. Yeah, you start in basically like
end.
Seemingly media res. Yeah, I guess it is. It's not even media res. It's terminus res. You start at the end. I mean, it seemed pretty clear that you weren't going to stay in whatever this world was. So honestly, like the end bit made more sense to me. I'm like, okay, like we're working with some time turner stuff here. I'm used to this. What I found more off-putting was when you're on the train and it just keeps reverting. Like you talk to this guy on the train and they're like, you know what you really enjoyed talking to that guy on the train? You should do it again. And you
Yeah.
just do it over and over again.
Talk to a guy on a train. You'd see a giant bull blocking the train tracks. There's a bunch of plague doctor looking guys. There's a section where you're walking through a room and you see a bunch of people, and then they turn into stagehands, which are like people in almost black leotards with white masks on, and they're creepy looking. It feels like a fever dream, and it's also tutorializing at the same time. Like it's teaching you how to barter, and it's teaching you how to collect items and loot things. So it's kind of functioning as a tutorial, but it is so surreal and out of context that it's real jarring as a way to start a game. ZP, does the first game start like this?
I didn't feel more oriented.
No.
Oh, yeah, I would say that. Again, I think that in part it is a small. So again, this gets into the theme of like they are trying to borrow from a very particular style of uh, German theater. Again, that epic theater format where it's not meant to. It's not the scale or the scope of the work, but rather the form that it takes, where you're supposed to emphasize the audience's perspective and reaction to the piece through a variety of techniques and to cause direct engagement with the work by like putting them in an uncomfortable situation, for example. And the big thing that I remember from my drama teacher in high school is epic theater is not supposed to like, you're not directly told to suspend your disbelief, but you're supposed to force to see this world as your world and then just run with it. And it's usually a very surrealistic psychological realism in that way. But no, yeah, the first game is very much like this. The third game I would say has a much more orthodox start where you are just a doctor that has been sent to this town and with the mission of, hey, you're a doctor. This town needs a doctor. They only have mystics. And by the time you get it, it's even further in time than Pathologic 2, where people have lost their goddamn minds. And that's kind of a cool thing. But yeah, no.
So like this game, super disorienting to start. Like doesn't. I
No,
mean,
you're correct.
It plays pretty normally, like in terms of mouse and keyboard controls. I did have some fun. I plugged in a controller at first, thinking, "Haha, I'll play with a controller and see how it plays." Doesn't function with a controller. Does not work with a PS5 controller. Would not allow me to play it properly. But as soon as you get to the part of the game where it's more linear, I did find they do more tutorializing with the stagehands. Like the stagehands give you tips on what to do and where to go. They give you some items. I was scared of them at first because they're people in black leotards that are like stitched up and have these white masks on. Like what? They're very off-putting to look at. So I thought at first they might be hostile. But like it does a decent job of tutorializing you. I found that once I started playing the game, like you get jumped at first, you have to kill like 3 people, you loot them, and the game immediately just hits you with some meters. You've got a health meter, you've got an immunity meter, you've got a thirst meter, and you have a hunger meter, and an exhaustion meter, so 5 meters. If any of those meters get to the bottom, if they run out, you just die. Except immunity, do you just become sick and then you
you
eventually die?
Immediately. This game also feels like it was dying for a sanity meter.
Yeah, honestly, good restraint to not have a sanity meter, I guess. But all of those meters are ticking down, or at least hunger, thirst, and exhaustion are ticking down at all times. And you are basically bartering. There are shops you can buy things for money, but you don't have good sources of money in this game other than looting. You can't really sell stuff that
That's
much.
the other thing, is that you have to rely on the barter system, which forces you to get engaged with the game's skill check system. If you do attempt to roam around and pull things from, boxes or trash heaps or trash cans, usually the things in trash cans are absolute refuse. They're rarely useful. So better items are found inside houses, which requires you to commit burglary, and maybe, especially if you get caught, hated by the community, which is a different meter. The best way to acquire money, though, getting organs.
Yeah, there's a black market that will buy organs, and you can.
So once you get the scalpel, you'll
Yeah.
be able to perform autopsies on people that you've killed, and you can harvest organs and then sell them. And that
Society
is
does not like that, though.
no, but that's the best way to make money.
Yeah, and you are a trained surgeon, so like the Horsepex is a trained surgeon, but also all of his other training was kind of in this step mysticism that his and this town is. I guess we should talk about the town a little before we get. Well, let's finish the survival mechanics and then we can talk about the town. The survival mechanics are very oppressive. You are going to be bartering constantly. You are going to be running around scrounging through trash. You're going to be maybe looting some houses, because if at any point you stop eating those meters, you die. And Pete, what happens if you die?
Oh, well, you got to go back to talk to that jerk. What is it? Imogen Joe? What's his name?
It's not Immortan Joe. It's the Immortal,
Joe.
I think, the
It's just
director
Immortal.
of the play.
Yeah. He punishes you, and the first thing he takes away is your ability to hug people, because he's a dick.
So yeah, the more you die, it's Dark Soulsy, right? It's got the constant punishments for failing, and it just makes the game harder. So every time you die, the game gets harder, which means that I save scummed this game.
Oh, sure. Once I lost the
because-
ability to hug people and smell rain, I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing where like it's a cool concept. The game says at the outset, like, there's easy difficulty. There's no easy difficulty. There's like hard, harder, and intended. Like it's a brutal game where the part where it sucks to play is part of the experience. And so it really wants you to play it in the way that will kill you the most, because killing you and then inflicting you with negative, conditions is part of this game's whole vibe, right? It is trying to kill you largely to get across the point that survival in this world is difficult and the world is bleak. Now, it just consumes so much of your gameplay. Like there are story beats going on. You have places you need to go to talk to people to advance different plot lines. There are things you can do to save people from the plague. There's all sorts of resources that you need to collect so you can make medicines. All that stuff is going on. But because you constantly have to worry about eating and sleeping and basic survival, you basically feel strung out at all times in this game. It's an oppressive feeling to play this game at all. ZP, did you find the same? Did you have the same feelings?
Sure. No, I
playing
think
this?
that it's a difficult game through and through. This is why Braden and I like to say that the works of Ice Pick Lodge are Eurojank. Highly ambitious and definitely trying to go for, like, the vibes are immaculate, but you're not playing the Pathologic games for a good gameplay experience. You know that going in, especially after the first game was like an actual teeming dumpster fire in terms of how it ran, how it controlled, how it, looked. You're here for the wacky, weird character interactions, the interpersonal dramas that crop up, and just a world you can safely say you've never seen in any previous video game.
Yes. And the surrealism, like when you say wacky, zany character interactions, like it is very hard to tell the fine line between weird on purpose and weird because it's poorly written. the characters just kind of say stuff a lot of the time. They don't teach you the language that you're like. There's a secondary language that the steppe people speak. No one ever teaches you that, so they could be saying gibberish. Like you never. It's very hard to know what they mean sometimes.
Weird. The weird part about it too is it not only do they just sort of like say stuff, like the citizens. What are we calling them?
Yeah,
Villagers.
let's call them citizens.
The citizens. The citizens have like a running text dialogue that you read, and they also have voice dialogue, and they almost never line up. Like maybe they like allude to what they're saying in the text, but it's definitely not one for one, and it's very confusing.
Yeah, they will say something vibey, and then there's the text dialogue, which I think is what's the actual conversation that's going on. So you just have a lot of very disorienting experiences because your character knows this town, but you, the player, don't. And the game is referencing the previous game a lot of the time, which I didn't play. So I was like 2 layers of overwhelmed with what was going on at any given time. And I think that's intentional, right? I think it is trying to make you feel like a fish out of water in many ways, right? Like there are most of the characters look like normal humans. Then there's some monster people. Everyone seems to be chill with them for the most part. There's like buildings that stretch up into the sky that do not make sense geometrically. There's a giant factory kind of built into a side of a mountain. And then there's a town that just looks like a normal European town, kind of, or Russian town. And all of this stuff is just jumbled on top of each other in a way that is striking, certainly, but I didn't quite know what to do with it. Like, one of the first characters you talk to has a dog head. They're wearing a dog's head, like a sewn-up dog's head. And, like, many of the kids in this game are...
It's
was that?
Lord of the Flies and Jason
They're
with the
creepy as hell.
kids.
Yeah, they're creepy as hell. And like the bartering system that we talked about, you can barter with adults, and adults mostly want like medicine or weapons or bullets or stuff like that, and they might trade you food. The kids want marbles and nuts.
Schmouters.
And what was that?
Schmouters. You never traded any schmouters?
You shouldn't trade those schmouters. You want them schmouters.
Yeah, those schmouters are valuable. But those kids want them. Everybody wants schmouters.
Yep, which is ground up pills in a box. You need to deal with the kids. You need to trade kids fish hooks and like knives and stuff so that they can trade you morphine.
Which is also valuable.
Which is also incredibly valuable. So like the kids have all the weapons and many of the like medicines you need, and you're just talking to and bartering with random people constantly. I feel like bartering took up maybe 50% of my overall gameplay. Just wandering around, participating in the economy, because otherwise you die. Otherwise you starve to death.
Yeah, and it only gets more oppressive as it goes. Like the town's under quarantine. You know what I mean? It's under lockdown, so the food just gets more and more expensive the longer the game goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a game that really punishes you for not knowing what you're doing. Like, for being disoriented in a game that is deliberately disorienting, right? Like, if you come in knowing, okay, I need to hoard food in the first 2 days when the food is cheap and the money is easy to get, you will have a much better time than someone who tries to play blind. And that's just... It is what the game is going for, right? I know that is the artistic intent, but it is why this game has a very small, hyper-dedicated audience. Because it is not fun to play, and it is deliberately difficult to understand, too. It's hard to play in all the senses. Like, it's killing you constantly, it's distracting you and sending you in a bunch of different directions. The story is parsed out piecemeal in ways that it's hard to parse on one playthrough. This is a game that really asks you to commit. Say, this is the only game I'm playing for a good long while if you want to get something out of it, I think. Or like get as much out of it as you possibly could. Like, Pete, did you feel like you had any sense of where the story was going? Like, what was happening moment to moment?
Not only did I have no conception of like what the ending might be, I had no idea what people were telling me most of the time. Like I can tell. I'm like, all right, this guy's this guy's the beef baron who's running the town. This guy's his son who I think's running the bar. Here's two warring groups of kids, one who has animal souls inside them and the other one that wears dog masks. Like, how am I supposed to combine these elements? And then there's the worm dudes that ferry the boats.
Yep.
It's all very confusing.
EP, did you have any success like parsing together meaning, or were you just letting the vibes wash over you?
Oh no, I played the game. I feel a couple of things. Like for me, the story, as someone who played Pathologic 1 and definitely has played Pathologic 3, there's the element of, so essentially this game continues where if the events, it assumes that the events of the first game failed, that the protagonist in the first game failed. So you are the second attempt to rid this town of its plague. And because things have gone beyond the original span of time from the first game, as a result, it's led to the crumbling of their society and now also a level of mania. This is something that the third game definitely also plays up, is like people are going crazy. Like whatever this plague is, it's also having an impact on people's mental health. And as a result, like some of the shrewdest and most direct people that you'll find are those children who their gang, if I don't know if you remember this, Soul and a Halves
Yeah,
is
there's
the
a
name
and a
of their
halves.
gang. And you meet characters who have taken on these monikers and even like put on outfits as if like this society, this town is regressing, which I don't know if you got this reference, but that is pretty much Solo. This is like a people going off to like their keeps and trying to like get in one good fuck before actually you die of a plague. Um I think things definitely do ramp up with the story though when you go to your father's funeral and
Mhm.
you have the opportunity, or Artemy has the opportunity to look at the stab wounds and is able to identify that, yo, this is weird. And then also, yo, by the way, you have to accept your father's legacy. And now it's time for you to be a diviner. And also, let's talk about the kin. You're a part of a special cast,
Yeah, in the
which
step
feels like a
people.
weird call, but the way that I see that is, again, if you're working under the assumption that this is like Russian society pre-Soviet Bolshevik revolution, um, a group of people holding on to that kind of Cossack caste-based system, kicking and screaming, actually kind of works for me. In this game, if you don't buy into that, which I'm not saying that you have to, because again, this is a fan assumption, you get the sense that there's like an old guard and a new guard, and they're constantly in conflict. And then it turns out that, yo, actually, the mysticism's not a joke. Like, there are actual forces beyond your comprehension at play here.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because, like you said, ZP, the breakdown, like people kind of losing control and losing their minds after this plague. It's the same events, though, right? From Pathologic 1, 2, and 3. So time, it's not like this is the second round of the plague.
No, it is. Or, well, no, it's the same plague from the first game, but the protagonist from the first game has failed.
Yeah, but when you say they have failed, it's a rerun of the scenario from the first game. It's not like this is this first game, but 2 years
No,
later.
maybe you missed it, but um
This happened earlier, and your dad saved the
no.
town.
This was at the very beginning. Maybe you missed it, but it says you are on day 12.
Yeah, that's what it says at the beginning of the game. It
Yeah,
says
so
this is day
Pathologic
12.
1 is days 1 through 11. It even has those chapter cuts in.
No,
So
but what I'm saying
they
is,
jump you 12 days into the second run.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
what I'm saying is, like, when you start the game and when they drop you on day 1, it's not like Pathologic 1 has happened and it happened 3 years earlier in linear time.
No,
right?
it's just immediately afterwards.
It's immediately afterwards, and then it's like, okay, let's jump you back to day 1. And the world might be falling apart, but it's not like it's falling apart because the plague happened, 6 weeks ago and now it's happening again. It is, as you keep replaying the scenario over and over and over again, kind of with that grand theater that you mentioned, even though the events are playing out again, right? It's running through the same play a second time. The world is still somehow knowing that the previous versions of itself exist.
I mean, even that immortal guy will point out, like, hey, you're doing a little bit better than that last guy. You're
Exactly.
doing a little bit better.
So there's like psychological damage or physical damage happening to this world that you would only know are happening if you played the first game and the second game and the third game. Right? Like you would not know. You would not notice.
Up to this point, you would only need to have played the first game, but
you would need to know that there are call-outs. You would need to know that there are callbacks and all those sorts of things. So it just adds to the sense of alienation that you get when playing this game. And another thing that came up for me was in the first day, they capture a step woman, one of the spice dancers, or what spice brides?
An herb bride?
Herb brides, yeah. They plant herbs or something. They catch an herb bride and they burn her at the stake. And you can see that or not, I guess. You don't have to see that scene. But that sequence, it's a cutscene of the woman being burned at the stake. And after it's over, there's just 3 big femurs at the root of like the stake where she was burned alive. And it's the sort of thing where like I can see that they were going for something dramatic here. Like, oh my God, society's falling apart. They're just lynching people in the streets. But then afterwards, it's almost like Mortal Kombat style when you fatality someone and they explode into 10 rib cages. And that sense of it's surreal, it's going for something heavy, but I don't know if it's also trying to be comedic or if it's being incompetently done or if it's just trying to be surreal for surrealness' sake. But it makes the tone of this game all over the place. Because it's operating at a meta level, it's operating at a literal level. Sometimes it's doing things that are ironic or funny, and sometimes, but it's a giant plague. So it's a game that's really hard to wrap your head around and know exactly what it's going for, because it's going for so many different things all at once.
So the budget for this game, based off of a Kickstarter, so again, you have to deduct X number of dollars and maybe include like an assumption that maybe the director of the studio kicked it in, was I found it $333,127.
Which is a low
So this
budget.
is this is moderately by $880,000 more than $250,000. And again, this is supposed to have like 3 storylines and was originally going to be like an HD remaster of the first game, and then it became its own game, and it was going to have 3 stories where it weaved the first game into this, and then no, it had a budget of about slightly above $250,000, or not a quarter of a million, yeah. So not a lot, and yet they still, in most indie games, you would make the scope a little tighter, the environment's a little smaller. Looking at interviews, they aim to make a 70+ hour video game with a budget of that. That was their ambition. Is they wanted to make a game that was 50 to 70 hours with their budget, with a later defined spiritual successor or just a proper successor to Pathologic.
Yeah. Look, this game doesn't lack for ambition. That's for sure. Like, it is very ambitious. Does it execute on most of it? Like, I mean, technically, like, there are technical issues. I forgive those. Like, if you're far away from a character, they just kind of, they don't animate after you get a certain distance away, but they still move. You can just,
and the dialogue is as weird, and it is memorable. When you meet a new character and you're exploring those options, like things go places. One of the more memorable characters for me, because I was like, I will protect you with my every fiber of my being, is Sticky, because he's your most loyal companion.
Yep.
Sticky's great. Lara Ravel is also good because she actually cares for the townspeople with her House of the Living.
Hmm.
There's Ruben the Doctor. He also later, if you get closer to the end, he discovers an important part to the cure if the player is incompetent. And then there's Peter, creator
There's
of that polyhedron. And then, yeah, some really, but
there's a
sticky,
circus
man.
performer.
Yeah, there's the circus performers. They're great.
Yeah, it's got some memorable characters. Pete, what did you make of the tone, the setting? Like, did you take any big themes away? Did you have any big impressions on the game?
Um, I mean, there's so much like swirling around. There's so much I'm trying to figure out at once. I mean, you know what I really wanted to see, but I never quite got in there. So ZP, I'm wondering maybe if this happens later in the game. There were multiple references to a part of town or like an area where like thousands of beef workers were all living together. At a certain point in the game, they were like, "Look, they're safe there. There's no food. We have water at least." But I never actually got into that area. You ever make it in there?
So this is the part where I guess, like, okay, full on spoilers. So there are a couple of things going here. We later find out that, our character is suspected of patricide and is attacked by many of the townspeople, which we've already talked about. But there's also this rumor, of a monster that kills and preys on young women called the Sabnak Adur. I don't know why I pronounced that French, but whatever.
I'm into it.
Um, and the new leader of the town, who vouches for us and restores our innocence, is Fat Vlad. And
He's the beef guy, right?
yeah, he's the beef
Yep.
guy. And
Hey,
once we
Vlad?
enter the cast of the kin, we um we get a list of the names of 7 local children plus a strange step sigil that we're told is like the Udur. And we later learn that these are the children our father felt would be most important to rebuilding the town, and they must
Moving
be
to the
kept safe
future.
at all costs.
Yeah.
So that what you are referencing is where we are going to rebuild the town in the event that we cannot stop the plague. So the plague is the sand pest. It strikes the town. It kills people within a day of infection, leaving the districts abandoned and rife with looters and that type of stuff. So we have to do the daily tasks of at a hospital in exchange for money and food. As you said, the food prices eventually, the point does come where you're just not able to make enough money to pay for food. That's when the story starts to kick up in its narrative ending point. You encounter the Herb Bride, or a caste of young kin women who dance barefoot to encourage the growth of like herbs.
They're super naked and the
Yeah,
way
they're
this
tits out.
Yeah.
Tits out.
this game, there are many women who are tits out and voluptuous, but the men are largely lumpy and clothed. Which that's an interesting choice that was made. I'll say that on the designer's part.
Anyways, so eventually there comes a moment where okay. So we create antibiotics and painkillers from blood.
Yep.
A crack breaks from the ground and starts spewing blood. The
Mm-hmm.
blood is revealed to be a panacea that cures the plague. There's only enough blood for 2 doses. And then it's around that point when the ending kicks off where the Grand Inquisitor comes to town and needs to determine, do I save you or do I burn this town to the ground and hope that everything that's here dies? And what later happens there is we discover that there's like the key then becomes the destruction of the polyhedron. using a artillery battalion sent by the powers that be. I believe it's the exact quote, but they're related with the Inquisitor. And then another mythological figure called the Udurgur, who introduces himself as the Earth. I am Mother Earth, Father Earth, or something like that. And I've been the one leaking the blood. You can't kill me, otherwise I'll stop leaking blood. And then I guess
a
I'll
related question.
Yeah.
I don't want to derail us too hard, but why can't they dig wells?
Because again, we're talking to like a Cthulhu demon that only wants to give us enough blood so the plague can still go. Something misery, darkness, self-loathing.
So what? Why? Like the people will think the people there think if they dig wells they'll be cursed.
Yeah, kind of. I guess so. Anyways, so this game has multiple endings. One quick correction of what Gino said. You can actually get to. So there's a turning point in this game where if you die the 8th time, the guy actually resets all of your debuffs and then just stops doing it. However, you'll lock yourself out of the game, one of the game's 3 possible endings, which means pretty much you'll get one of the bad endings. So destroying the polyhedron is revealed to produce enough of blood to cure everyone, Pete.
Right.
But you'll kill the Earth.
What does that mean?
The monster, the actual mythological figure that keeps the town alive. So no more miracles. No more.
Shitty.
So basically, you have to kill God to cause blood to spew from the ground to cure people of the plague.
Cool, I guess.
And what is it,
So-
like a metaphor for industrialism?
So the town, so like the endings are like the town is destroyed and the town is saved, or the tower remains in place and the kin take the town.
And the step people basically roll in and
Yeah.
kill and take over.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, but like, what is this telling me about society or the human condition?
I mean, that's a Nietzsche thing. You gotta kill God, baby. We
That should've
have to
just-
be why God is dead. We're the
That should've
reason,
just
so is
been-
that we can do a blood feast and cure ourselves of the plague.
That should have been the first line of their manifesto. You got to kill God,
yeah,
baby.
like- Gino, go ahead and get the manifesto out. So
Yeah,
Ice
so-
Cream Lodge is just a great, like these people are fucking off their rocker. These are
So-
crazy people. I love them.
Let's read. I feel like this manifesto explains so much about this game and their aesthetic and all of this stuff. I'm going to read it first without comment, and then I'll comment.
It's pretty long.
I'll read enough of. I'll read some choice bits. We don't have to read the whole thing. Art does not degenerate; it changes. Art is like a wandering soul, moving from old bodies to young ones. It finds new forms and transforms them according to its own laws. Creative activity emerges from the realm of pure pragmatism, technology, entertainment, or services, making a quality leap, and acquires the ability to give shape to phenomena which had before seemed inexpressible. It wasn't too long ago that cinematography made this leap. Now it is the turn for the computer game to make the same leap. Its new shape must take its place at the junction where the game meets mystery. We call this new shape the deep game. The deep game possesses the ability to bring out of the gamer what Aristotle called catharsis, which is the purification of emotions through the evocation of pity and fear. This phenomenon is characterized by a powerful emotional explosion and a psychological shock caused by the experience of new truths and touching upon hidden aspects of reality. Its result, a person's moral regeneration. Neither passion nor any narcotic high can be compared to that feeling. Achieving this is difficult, but we believe that sooner or later it will happen. The game will gain the feature and status as that of something sacred. The people will approach the game as an event that will forever change their lives. We believe we will succeed in making this so.
So that's like the dialectic, right?
Let me just skip. I'm just going to skip this next paragraph and just jump ahead to this next one. We focus our game on the elite. These games are for the chosen ones. The deep game
time.
calls for
Yeah,
complete
this is the
immersion.
dialectic.
Complete immersion, concentration, and attention. The depths of these games, like many brilliant films, books, and plays, will have multiple levels, which will make the games enjoyable to great masses of gamers. We create games that will appeal to many different eyes. That's enough. I feel like I covered. I feel like that's enough of the manifesto. This
You
was
get
in
the vibe.
2001.
Definitely, yeah.
25-year-old manifesto that they put together when they founded their company. This is I think it's fair to say this company is very high on their own supply.
Hell yeah, baby.
They do not care if anyone likes their shit.
I think they prefer if people didn't.
They prefer if
Yeah.
people didn't, because games are sullied by people enjoying them or understanding them. And I guess it's good that gaming has some Russian developers making Dadaist works. Like, that's good, I guess.
So you admit that the free market of ideas needs to be free. Thank you.
I don't like the way you said it. Maybe.
I mean, I guess it's good. Like, this game confused me in a way few games have, and it made me think about some stuff.
You achieved catharsis?
I don't think I achieved catharsis. No, Pete.
Okay.
No, I don't think I did.
But you're not a member of the elite.
I definitely am not a member of the elite. If a game company says that their game is meant only for the elite, I am immediately off-put on a level. Thankfully, I played the game after this manifesto. When I read this manifesto at first, I was like, "Oh, I shouldn't play this game. This is made by assholes."
Fascist. Yeah, like it sounds inherently fascist.
Yeah.
Or
But then
maybe
I
just
played it.
made by a bunch of art grads that are trying to justify a bunch of liberal arts degrees.
You could be two things.
Sounds pretty fascist.
You could be two things.
I
So
don't
this
think the
is
game's fascist.
no.
I think this manifesto is fascist.
Yeah. We only allow talented, inspired professionals looking for new forms and new boundaries in the traditional forms of creativity to work on the game. We put an emphasis on shock.
Shock and awe, baby.
I think that the best way I would sum this up is...
Console was right all along.
Have you ever seen the clip of It's Always Sunny where Mac goes, laughs are cheap, I'm going for gasps?
Yeah, it's a good episode.
That's what I feel like Ice Pick. If you wanted it in one sentence, like that's what it would have been. And look, I am glad I played this because unlike when I first started playing this, I was worried that this was going to be a Bennett Foddy situation. And like manifesto really made me concerned that it was going to be a Bennett Foddy situation where the game is just off-putting to play and has very little to say other than, well, you should struggle through my badly made game or like my off-putting game because it'll be good for you. And this game, I think, is a lot more like the world is tough and difficult, and I'm going to try to express that through gameplay in a way that actually makes you think. And I mean, this game forces you to rely on society because bartering is the only way to get anything you need. And so, in spite of the fact that many of the characters are just NPCs that are walking around, you do feel like you are ingrained in this society in a way that a lot of RPGs don't bother with, right? Like a lot of times you just have NPCs who repeat the same 3 lines of dialogue, but you don't interact with them. This is a game where you interact with almost everyone you see, and that's a legitimately novel thing that this game does that I don't think many games do. So I think there's something to take away from this game, even if I did not enjoy playing it. And I think that's on purpose.
That's
this
fair.
game is not meant to be enjoyed.
It's as I said, I made you play subversive art. Like, that's what this is. I made you play subversive art, and I would rather there be subversive art in the games industry than not.
What is it subverting, though?
Good game design. It's like a world that is immediately abrasive, and the design of it is repeatedly abrasive throughout.
It's noise music, but games.
And that's why I love it. Because I'm so glad that games like this exist. I'm we've lost spiders, we've lost piranha bytes, we've lost CD Projekt doesn't even make Eurojank anymore. We're down to just a handful of game studios that make true, genuine Eurojank, and so we can't be picky.
Yeah, and this is janky. This is, if you want pure uncut Eurojank, this is it. It is doing a lot of stuff poorly, but it's doing a lot of stuff, and it's evocative in spite of itself in a lot of cases. And my one thesis is, I think the difficulty of this game, because it is so off-putting, it makes it such that you will not notice some of the levels of incompetence that are going on. Like you won't see some of the worst scenes because most people quit before they get to the part where you might notice some of this stuff. Like, you can very easily miss some scenes that are just poorly paced or poorly animated. You might never get the explanation of a thread because you just give up on the game. This is a game that I think keeps some of its mystique because people give up playing it. And I think that covers for some bad design in some cases. But darn if it doesn't try a lot of stuff that I don't see in other games.
It's going for it.
And like I said, at the heart, what you can safely say is there is no world quite like the world of Pathologic. There probably never will be. And that's genuinely kind of interesting in and of itself. They've created a world that only they could have created, and no one will ever repeat.
I will say too, like, more power to them. I think we've sung their praises and criticisms in equal and fair measure. I have no desire to ever go back to this world they've created.
No, it's fine. That's totally fine.
That's another thing, is like, it's a very off-putting world. They have created something brutal and ugly, and then sometimes beautiful. But yeah, it's not enjoyable to be there. All right, well, I think that's it for Pathologic 2, unless anyone else had another thing to say about it. I made it to day 4, I think, technically, in about 10 hours. 8 to 10 hours.
I finished the game.
I got to 4 or 5.
And yeah, I save scum my way through it because dying seemed bad, and also a lot of the difficulty of this game is simply from not knowing how it works. And once I learned a new thing about the game, I was just like, okay, now I can go back and not make that mistake. Because for as much as it tutorializes, it says things vaguely enough that sometimes, even though I was tutorialized, I was like, oh, I didn't really know what that meant until I actually experienced it. All right. Pete, I believe it is your turn to pick next what game we're playing.
I believe you are right, Gino. Well, let me just remember the name of the one I'm picking. Got too many tabs open. So we are going to play one. This is sort of similar to some games I think we played in the past, where you're sort of a Shikigami, doing his job, but perhaps not particularly satisfied by it. I want to play Death's Door.
Okay. I've played this game, but I will not participate.
Ooh.
Have you played any of the games from this specific developer?
I mean, Devolver Digital, yeah.
No, this is the developer of Titan Souls.
Oh! Did we play Titan Souls?
I don't know.
I don't remember if you played Titan Souls. I would say it's a visual continuation of Titan Souls. I would not say graphical. It is still a bit of a Souls-like, warn you, but I would say that Death's Door is at least in some ways it is more accessible than Titan Souls.
Have we played Titan Souls?
I don't remember.
I don't think we did. I don't see it in our.
But yeah, no, this is from the team that made Titan Souls, is say. Except now it's 3D.
Well, I only play games with the most Ds.
We played a lot of games that look like Titan Souls, but we have not played Titan Souls.
You're right.
Oh wow! Surprise! This podcast hasn't gone down a Souls-like.
I mean, we've played a lot of Souls-likes, but not this one.
And this one came out 10 years ago. I mean, you think that's our perfect wheelhouse. If only it were a sequel, we definitely would have hit it.
Yep. And so we are kind of by playing Death's Door. All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you for picking this, ZP. I was at first very, very, very concerned that this game would not be a pleasant experience and would also be boring. It wasn't. It at least got me thinking, which is more than Bennett Foddy has ever done. So.
And I'm always happy for somebody to not foist guide me towards the game. There's no real chance of me playing on my own.
My insides don't feel very well.
All right.
Your insides don't deserve to feel well.
I can't believe that the mug skull milk was not good for your insides. I can't believe it. Well, go take care of that. Reminder, folks, you can get in touch with the show, deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections, and deeplistenspodcast.bluesky.social. You can support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. Till next time. Well, thank you, Pete.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Thank you, ZP.
That was a squelch sound.
Till next time. Peace.